Good evening, people. 8:15 p.m. here on 2/14/2023. Happy Valentine's Day to all you ladies and men out there. Please hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Please share this out on your social medias. We do have a guest in the house tonight. It's not my co-host. It's Callie. Callie's been working on the Dior Kuntz Jr. case for years now. It's time that we give an update and get back to the case because the voiceless need us, and we're here for them.
Can hear you.
Hello, guys.
Okay.
Thank you for having patience for tonight's show, and I just did the whole thing on mute. I love updates.
Yeah.
Computer updates. So I was muted the whole intro, huh?
No, you were good.
No, just that last few seconds there.
Okay, good. I'm so out of breath from running up the stairs, too. I was like, dang.
I know, right?
Everything all at once. Yeah, okay. Out of breath running up the stairs. That's sad.
Oh
It's like when
It happens.
last time I ran out of breath, it was tying my shoes. It's like 14 seconds without breathing.
Exactly.
Now I got fake shoelaces and Velcro on everything.
Oh my gosh.
Well, see, that's why I just don't bother untying them to start with. Just don't.
I was like trying to breathe through the intro. I was like, I should have waited an extra minute to start this.
Right.
Running up the stairs, I was like, Jesus, I'm winded.
Like a little quick cardio going on over there.
Yeah, I don't come here to exercise. That's for dang sure.
Exactly, I know, right? It's too much.
That's so funny. Hi,
So
Christy.
thank you for being here.
Hi,
Thank you for
Raven.
being here. Crime and Justice, thank you for being here. Callie, thank you for being here. And so
Always.
a lot of people may not know you. Why don't you give yourself a little background, a little about yourself and the case for everybody?
I'm Callie. I work on the Dior Kuntz Jr. case. Missing 2-year-old from Idaho, Lador, Idaho. He went missing on July 15th. Sorry, I'm like all messed up. Hold on. July 10th, 2015. His parents, grandfather, and the grandfather's friend had gone camping into the Lador area called Timber Creek Campground. And, the next day, by the time, they got there, he vanished under suspicious circumstances. And it leans on his parents, his grandfather, and possibly the grandfather's friend, Isaac, to be the ones that know what happened to him.
So they went on it was a camping trip or last minute camping trip?
It was a last minute camping trip. Supposedly it was planned. I mean, there's just so many stories around that. The grandmother says it was a week and the mother says it was a couple days. And, I found out from a daycare worker that it was planned a week ahead, supposed to be in Idaho Falls, not Lador. I mean, it's just a matter of like who.
We have two parents, right?
Yes.
Who are not married any longer.
Nope.
To each other.
Yep.
We have a mother named Jessica, right? Yep. Who has remarried by now.
Yes.
Or remarried 8 months, like within 8 months of this whole happening. Like when did this happen again? In 2015?
Yeah, July 10th, 2015.
Right.
Yeah. They went up there on a Thursday and missing on Friday. So, it's a really suspicious circumstance. You got these parents who went up there, say that they went to town, said that everybody saw Dior. Nobody saw Dior. Literally, no one on that trip seen Dior except for what the parents and Isaac claim, making the original sheriff, the PI Klein, to think that maybe he was never even there in the first place.
Well, they did leave at one point. There's a need for tampons. Well, there's a need for him to get tampons, but she didn't need them, did she?
I don't think so. I mean, she says she did, and that's the reason why they went to the store. However, if you actually went through the conversation of, the text messages back and forth between her and her mother, she calls her mother to tell her she needed tampons. Her mom is like 2.5 hours away. Like, what is it? Wow. I don't tell my mom when I need tampons, especially when I'm camping. And I also don't, as soon as I get them, tell her that I got them. You know what I mean? It's like, it was like code to me. I'd be honest with you. It was like, all right, it's time to come up. It's time to drop whatever you're doing, get up here and start doing the act with us. I don't know. It's a really weird period conversation. And she needed to go there so bad in the morning, and they ended up going to get gas first.
Yeah, well, they ate, bro. No, the whole cooking and eating breakfast, like it took like an extra 2 hours. Like if you really needed them, like
yeah,
I mean, what do you do? Get a blow up thumb?
yeah, we can start on.
What,
We can
what
start.
point?
Oh
Oh
Lord.
God, this will work.
So
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to use. I'm a guy. What am I supposed to know?
Let's start on July 8th. July 8th is actually when all the lies start. And it's kind of weird because it's 2 days before he went missing. Wednesday, July 8th, they supposedly went to camping. They're supposed to get all this camping stuff with the grandpa and everything. And so the mom put it in a written statement that everything was done on Wednesday. All the camping stuff was purchased.
Is the grandpa? Is he like in good shape, or does he have to run around with like a breathing machine or a ventilator?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, he should be in great shape. His daughter says that he had 90% memory. I mean, he drove himself up to the campsite. I really don't see how he could function if there was something wrong with him.
He's not a weirdo or anything. He doesn't do any weird stuff to kids that we know of, right? So we don't have to worry about that in this case.
Not that we know of, and he's passed, so that's we don't have to worry about.
He's dead, right?
Yeah.
What about Bob?
Bob
that's the Bob.
Yeah, Bob gone.
Bob gone. Yeah.
Bob we had that conversation.
Bob gone. Yeah, Bob gone.
Bob got
gone. Yeah.
Bob got gone. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but 2 weeks after the camping trip, Bob and Isaac went alone to go fishing. Like, I mean, this is like Blackfoot. This is a couple of hours away. Like,
so you have your suspicions, basically. You have your suspicions, right?
Yeah.
And when I first took on this case with you, I had my suspicions, and I remember a lot of the case. Well, I remember, except for dates and stuff, I could pretty much remember everything that we need to know.
Right.
Right.
But like, the thing is I always thought Isaac was a weirdo, right? Because like he was a last minute. He was half the age of the grandfather, right? First of all,
right.
Basically, he doesn't look like he's all there. No offense, but he doesn't look like he's all there. He looks like maybe he's a little slow. Got some other chromosomes going on, right?
Yeah.
He's recently got married though, right? He got recently married. Last time we spoke about a year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago, I think. He's keeping quiet. He's keeping on the down low. He has never changed his story. He did add a couple of things to one of Klein's undercover agents who took him out to eat and drink and all that stuff. And he did say that Grandpa was sleeping in the camper and that he was actually never responsible for watching Dior. And Isaac also states in an audio along with the mom that Vernal never went down to the creek with them. So there's a lot of different stories.
Discrepancies, right?
Yeah, discrepancies. I mean, I guess it's hard to start in the very beginning when there's like so much that
but we almost have to, because some people don't know this case and they haven't seen my playlist on it yet. So sometimes we have to, and if we could just give them a just, there's pretty much 4 players we're dealing with, right? We've got Vernal, which is the father, Jessica, which is the mother, Isaac, which is the what would you say, like caregiver type friend?
Yeah, kind of. Like took care of his yard.
I don't want to screw it up because Jessica's a type of caregiver, right? Too. Jessica's a caregiver too, right? So we got to kind of change Isaac up. Isaac's like a new friendship to the grandfather and everybody else at the time of this happened. They were just newly friends, so they were going on a last minute camping trip. And so who's asking the grandfather? Is it the grandfather or is it one of the parents that asked? For him to bring Isaac, or does he choose to bring Isaac?
He chose to bring Isaac all by himself.
And why? No weirdo relationship there beforehand?
Not that I know of. I think it was just a matter of fishing buddies. They lived together, lived next to each other for like 5 years. He did yard work for Bob. So it was just kind of like a random here and there thing that they used to hang out. And they must enjoy each other fishing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, that was the first day that the parents met Isaac, was the day that they were going to go camping. And Bob just said, I'm bringing my friend along. He's weird, but he's a good guy. It's kind of.
He actually said he's weird.
Well, that's what's in the statement. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's weird. He's good, and he doesn't trust him. According to all these things, he doesn't trust him. He wouldn't let him stay at his house. He wouldn't let him be around his money. He wouldn't let him watch his grandchild. And it's like, well, what do you trust of Isaac? And he's like, well, that's a hell of a question. So, and it's like,
well, why bring someone you don't trust? So
exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
But was he told to say that he doesn't trust him? Like, do we even know? Like, I mean, like, who if Grandpa had to choose a side before we get to the behavior panel's version of this, before they had to choose a side, who would what would they say? Is Grandpa good choice of character or not a good choice of character? Or if he just knows him barely, does that mean he's got him for a reason there? It's a last minute trip. Did he know more? Bob's dead, so he can't answer any of these questions. So it's not gonna matter, but
I don't know why you would even hang out with somebody that you couldn't trust. I mean, maybe there was just a little level of friendship to where they just hung out, that's it, and he's never had to worry about him watching his grandchild or stay the night, or so maybe those were open-end questions that couldn't really be answered properly. I don't know. It is kind of weird though if you don't trust him to even be around your family.
So we got 4 people we're focusing on. A weird tampon trip to the city where just them 2 went. They only left. Dior. And did Dior ever come back from there? I doubt it.
That's what Isaac said that he did. Isaac said that he came back after the trip to the store. The thing is, there's one way.
Let's try to make this make sense. One way in, one way out.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. 7-mile ride in and out kind of way, right? Okay, I do remember. See,
yeah.
There's one neighbor, an older gentleman out there that was in an interview we watched, and he was talking about how he could see everything coming in and out as well.
Yes. He wasn't there. He was just there later, like in an interview.
Right, and no body ever found.
No.
So it just disappears from it. One way in 7 miles, one way out 7 miles.
Yeah.
4 people.
Yeah.
2 of them left the area, right?
Yeah.
The 2 that actually said, "Hey, watch our kid for a second," and the next thing you know, 2 seconds later, the kid's dead and gone.
Yeah. So Grandpa was supposed to supposedly watch Dior. Isaac and Mom and Dad were supposed to go down to the creek. That's the original story, that they left baby with Grandpa, and all 3 of them took off to the creek. That's not the story anymore. So the real story is painted in their own words. We'll get to that the next show. And their own words.
We have the phone call. We'll listen to another time. I want to get through the behavior panel because it's a long one.
Yeah. Their words. They're just saying that Mom and Isaac, they're like, Grandpa was never to watch him. The dad was with Dior the whole time. He never went down to the creek with them. And here's Dad all of a sudden running down the road 3 different times, going like just hauling ass down to the 1.5 mile marker. Why? If your kid is missing, why are you going to go that fast and not, he's wobbly, he's in oversized shoes, he's 2, you know what I mean? Like,
nobody ran him over. Nobody ran the kid over. There's no blood on any vehicles, or were there blood or diapers inside of hanging from trees and stuff?
Yeah, there was a diaper that was hanging from a tree. Yes, yep, and the cadaver dogs really want to climb that tree. The grandma had stepped in during the search and thrown that diaper away into a volunteer trash can, and it was never retrieved. Why? I don't know. Why would you touch the scene? And if Dad's the last one to see the baby, there was blood pathogens found on the back of the wheel well. It was supposedly washed with bleach, according to the FBI statement.
So is it possible that he had to go to the city to get bleach?
No, that was not on their receipt. We have
doesn't mean they didn't buy it. Doesn't mean they didn't buy it with cash or buy it separately.
True, but what they did do is buy extra diesel, red dye diesel,
extra gas, right?
Yeah, extra gas. Why?
Because they need a reason to be in the town, right? They need a reason to be there. So let's have a receipt. Yeah. Makes sense. We're gonna be getting rid of our child. We're gonna need some proof for somewhere.
Yeah, and when they went to town, they went to the store first, but they didn't get tampons. She
didn't need them.
And they went to get gas, and then they went back to the store and got tampons on both receipts.
Forgot.
Both receipts.
Yeah,
both receipts got tampons?
Yeah, she got lots of tampons. Different kinds. They must have only had a couple of, but there was.
What are they good for? Do they soak up blood, or do they do anything? Yeah, maybe.
Well, tampons are really good for wounds,
Yeah, maybe.
The military uses them.
Someone should shove one down Biden's throat. I'm sorry, did I say that on this? That one just slipped right out.
My
Okay.
bad. Whoopsies.
Really? That just came out like that? Just no filter. Welcome. We look like we're speed dating with the behavior panel. Steve, don't talk to me that way. Don't Mark, don't look at me that way. Scott.
Exactly.
Not Steve, whatever your name is. Stop it. They should have Scott Roos needs to move over left a little bit, take over Greg's spot, because we need glasses on one corner and to corner, and then non-glasses on corner to corner. That's how I would. Yeah. Otherwise, we're gonna have to just do this because hell, now that looks way better. Now we're way more. But we need her.
Oh wait,
okay.
yeah.
I can't do that.
Oops,
I thought I simplified it. It was like Hollywood Squares, but now we're like Jerry's kids tic-tac-toe.
That's so funny.
All right.
Yeah, that just happened right there. Okay. Let's get into
So these guys are covering the first interview for Dior. The parents, this is a Monday after they had lost him on Friday. They're coming down just to make sure that they can get on the news and share the story. So this is the very first interview.
How long ago was this?
This was 2 days after he went missing. So
this is like 5-6 years. It's like 7 years ago. 8 years ago.
7.5 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's check it out and let's go through it. Or is there a portion I should actually play in here first, and then we can play that long phone 911 call too? Because I want to kind of get people up to date for those who already know all this stuff. Or if you haven't seen this, maybe this is the best way to start and come back for a round 2, maybe a part 2 tomorrow night or the next night. Because I don't know how much we'll get through this because this is a long one.
Yeah, and I don't expect you to
let's do this in a couple parts, like 2 parts. So we'll get through half of this at least tonight. Okay, you guys?
Okay.
All right, let's go. Yeah, it's been that long. That's why we're back at it, you guys.
We're going to talk about Dior Kuntz. We're going to talk about his parents and the body language and behavior with them. Greg, what else tell us about the videos we're going to watch?
Yeah, so Dior Kuntz Jr. went missing July 10th of 2015. That was a Friday. This interview with the parents was conducted on July 13th, the following Monday. Jessica Mitchell and Vernal Dior Kuntz Sr. are the parents. His great-grandfather and a friend, Isaac Rainwan, were at the same location. The great-grandfather was watching the child at the time that the parents say that the child disappeared. They were named suspects in 2016 and never charged. And there are a ton of people tied up in this case. We're going to disappoint somebody, guaranteed. But this video and the behavior in this...
Really, Yvonne? I said you're late. Quit being late.
Really?
You're the one who gives out the late passes.
And you're late. What's going on?
I like how he says he's going to disappoint people.
You're a late pass. How do you?
Yeah.
I can't give you a late pass. You're gonna have to give yourself one. I have no clue how to do this. And I'm not trained. It's like checking yourself out at the supermarket. I don't know how to do it. So why does it always say put all your items back in the cart and start over? You idiot! Oh gosh, exactly. I had one item left. And then they get mad when you steal stuff on accident. Like I don't. Yeah, I wasn't trained. Don't get mad at me.
You didn't train me for this job. I don't have no benefits here.
Yeah, I don't know. Where's my 401k? Yeah, it doesn't exist, just like my training. Moving on. Pacific Breeze. Yvonne's here. She can give Pacific Breeze a break. Give it to her. Pacific Breeze.
Right. Late again.
Was what we're going to cover.
So take us back. Was it Friday?
Yes. I'm not sure what day it is today.
Today's Monday. It was Friday.
It was Friday. Friday at about 2:26 is when was it 2:26? It was 2:36 when I called.
Like he knew the answer to this. First of all, he's a smart ass.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you that. Very cocky. Yeah, he seems like that. The guy you want to just punch right in the nose for no reason. Because he's going to give you plenty of reasons to do that. Yeah, that kind of guy. Okay.
Yeah.
It was 2:36 is when she called, and I was in the truck hauling down to the road trying to get service because I didn't think one bar would get it. So she got very, very lucky. I was blessed that she was able to get service because I didn't want to try and risk getting half.
Does 911 work even if you don't have any bars on your phone, doesn't it?
It should actually. Yes, I've had to use it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
I've had to use it. So
911 will work even if your phone has no service whatsoever.
That's what I thought.
Right.
Yeah.
This is he's talking about how he's making phone 911 calls, right? And she's at the camp. He went down the road to make a 911 call. You can hear both of them together in their calls.
That's red flag number 1 though, right?
Yeah. And then not only that, in her statement, while she's on the phone with 911, she says to 911, "I'm emptying my pockets, my wet pockets, into the truck." Like, you're on the phone with 911.
Why are pockets wet?
And why is she in the truck? Like,
it's basically obvious. They obviously have a jacuzzi in the bed of the truck. Duh.
Right?
The truck's a mile and a half down the road.
Come
It
on.
should not
Well,
be anywhere near her
all right.
to be emptying or getting out of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
talking to 911 and have it cut off. So I went down to where I knew I can get a little service about a half mile down the road. We searched after about 20 minutes and in a panic, not knowing where he was in such a small area and never being there, I knew I was in trouble.
I knew he was in trouble.
So we decided to call search and rescue. And that's when I drove down. She tried getting a signal out. As soon as I got a hold of them, they told me that she was on the other line with them and they had our location and they were on our way.
Wow, she beat you to it. She stood
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
spot, Vernal, and she
Yeah.
was on 911 because you didn't think one bar would do it. Guess what? They're slapdick.
You know what he's doing?
Yeah.
That's the second time going down the road to make sure that the body's hidden. Or to be honest, there's that 1% chance he's handing him off. But like,
we can't say that for sure. That's what he was doing. But like, that's just a red flag right there. Is
It
a
was a red
possibility he could have done that there, right? Yeah, either there or in the city, one of the two.
Very possible.
Right? Because why does he have all this extra gas unless he's going to burn something too when he leaves it?
Oh, in one of his statements, if he says that the best way to get rid of weeds is to pour gasoline and diesel on it, it kills everything under the ground. Those are his words.
It also burns away like any DNA.
Yeah, that too.
Yep. It will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it will. Red flag it
So
all day
many
long
red-
with this dude. Yeah. So that's what we want to do. We're gonna be doing this format to get through this tonight and the next night that we do this. And the phone call, I think it's important. We'll stop. We'll throw red flags so people can kind of get the gist of what we're thinking, because these people aren't calling it out, and I hope later on they do. If they mention it, it's apparently you didn't sound like that. You heard that before, so we'll see if they mention it. Let me know if you feel like we need to stop. Just put a hand up or something, and we'll stop the video.
Way.
Last year, more clients hired Morgan.
Really? Oh.
Oh no.
One second, ladies and gentlemen. There should be no commercials in here.
Shuck it.
Just switch this bad boy over.
You're advertising for these lovely people.
While we're doing
Why
that,
not?
get your,
Why not?
get
They
your red
deserve it.
flags.
Hey, they're shut off.
Look at they're hugging. What are they doing?
Let's see here.
Get your red flags ready. We're gonna
It
need a
won't
lot
happen
of them.
again, you guys. Just got to do this. I was supposed to refresh it. I did change it over. I just didn't refresh the screen yet. There we go.
It's all good.
It's all G-double-O-D good.
And never being there, I knew I was in trouble. So we decided to call search and rescue. And that's when I drove down. She tried getting a signal out. As soon as I got a hold of them, they told me that she was on the other line with them and they had our location. They were on our way.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one. We've looked at people whose child has been missing in the past. The McCanns come to mind immediately. And these are very different people, very different in their education level, very different in their delivery. But we also see relationship dynamics in both of these. In this case, if we watch him, he speaks first almost always as we go through this. And he has this kind of bold overtalk. Everything he says, as long as he's got data for it, he's going to overtalk and over-deliver information. And I think what we're seeing is a baseline in who he is. We also will notice a couple of other things. When she has something to say, even if she doesn't say it, we'll see her raise her foot and her ankle. You'll see her move it, because every time she does inject, that foot comes up when she's talking. So we can then pay attention. If I were interviewing these people, I would say, what do you have to say? Because I see that foot move. And I also watch just to see what he's doing that's different. Now, they're both barriered to all. I mean, she's got the child's blanket. He's got his hands together. His thumbs are up, and he's moving his thumbs together. Joe Navarro says, if your hands are steepled and your fingers are together and your thumbs go up, you're showing confidence. In this case, this is more, he's just using that to adapt. As he says, I went about a half mile down the road. You watch her go into that inner dialogue down left. And when we say inner dialogue, what we're not talking about is remembering what to say. What we're saying is that's conversation. If it's something I remembered, I'm probably going to go somewhere else. So we'll ask a question like, what are the lyrics to your favorite song? And as you try to do that, pay attention. Your eyes are going to drift around in your head. And a lot of people, their eyes will go somewhere between their brow ridge and their cheekbone. But when we go down to our left, we're thinking about the impact of something, how we should respond. And she's got her hands and arms all wrapped up. She's adapting. So we're paying a lot of attention to that. Is there some kind of a dialogue going on between them when he says he went a half mile down the road and she wants to do something, she moves her foot, and then you see a little bit of something happen in her face?
Well, listen, I think they hated each other already there, Greg. They really didn't like each other. To me, it sounded like they were already on the outs when they decided to go with this overnight little rendezvous.
Yeah.
Well, there was some affairs going on, so I'm sure that was very tense time.
Like, who decided to go last minute? I would think, if anything, like the baby and the mom would have just disappeared. If it was up to Vern, yeah, if Grandpa didn't have to go with Grandpa Bob, I guess the other two could have disappeared, except that story wouldn't have worked. Nobody would have watched the kid when the kid went missing, then it wouldn't work. Right?
No, that wouldn't work.
Yeah. So it's a crap story, but they've been out for so long. Did they just forget about this case or something? Is there anything new, any new progress that anything's being worked on this?
Yeah, Klein is back on the case thanks to you guys. And
Awesome.
we started at 300 and your channel got us raised up to 1,400, and we were on a goal to 20,000 altogether. We're now halfway through, but because of your channel, we were able to get him back on the case. And
well, listen, here's the deal. My channel has a very, very good plethora of new people and great supporters. Like if we raised 1,400 with decent to null, like supporters, like, yeah, if it's the right reason, we'll do it. I usually don't do the fundraisers anymore, but like I have no problem doing that for this case because we've already started it. We might as well finish what we started. If in fact we see movement or things from him in the case, I have no problem helping out the way if that
and
helps.
that's totally something, that's all up to other people. If that's what they want to do, then that's it's helpful, but definitely never my goal to share his story. This kid, just like, I swear to God, he's like my other son. But
I know what you're going through. I know what you're going through, and then it's like when a parent doesn't get help with their child, like the Daniel Robinsons and stuff. Like they start getting crazy, and so could the people that are helping for so long, right? It's just the same. You take stuff, and I get that. I get it, right?
Definitely.
But, yeah.
So there's one thing I want to paint a picture of, and this is the baseline of how I really feel. It took me a long time to get here. I actually do feel bad for these parents. That's really hard for me to say. I feel bad for them because they were young, and I believe an accident happened. They covered it up. They're really, truly grieving parents. If an accident happened, you're still going to grieve, right? But it's going to be their own way. So the fact that, people want to say that, that the parents are grieving. Yes, they are grieving. They really probably missed their child. They didn't really mean for something to happen to them unless they gave him away. Other than that, I just wanted to paint the picture of the parents. They did care about their kid, but I think an accident happened, and that does not mean that they don't care.
Yeah, but if an accident happened, guess what? Accidents happen.
Yeah, they do. And
so why not try to help the kid instead of getting rid of it? Like once you screw anything of feeling bad for them any longer. If they had anything to do with this, and they were 6 years or 7 years, 8 years later, you better stop feeling bad for them right now, because until you find out where that kid is or what happened to him, you can't feel bad for either one of them.
I mean, I feel bad for their loss. That's the only thing. You know what I mean? Like, I could see the real loss in their eyes. In this interview, especially, I can see it when Vernal cries. It looks genuine because he probably is really sad,
probably.
Right?
I had to get killed my kid, and I got to talk about it.
Yeah, like it's like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
it's like a murder.
I'm definitely, I do see that, but it's justice is what's important, and that's why I'm here. Is justice. Dior needs justice.
Yeah, due process is still there too, and like that, I agree with that for them. But at some point, you got to know that Chris Angel didn't come and grab Dior and just like, he's at the Luxor.
Right.
What happened?
No.
Or look at this card. Do you see this card? What is this card? Do you see it? Do you see it? David Blaine, I hate how he talks. He gets up in your face. Like, I'll show you. Let me show you your thumb trick. It's like in your eye. See if you can see your cards now, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what my card was.
I mean,
I
don't feel bad for what they're, what they're not doing. Because, man, I'm sorry, but there are so many people that are being louder than these parents. And why? They really truly say that he's missing. Like, if that's really the case, why aren't you out there? Why did you stand up?
If he was missing and they were the only 4 people at that campsite and there was nobody else around, one of the 4 did, unless some crow came down and fit him and grabbed him and took him away, which I doubt happened. No pterodactyls are existing.
Animals were ruled out 100%, 99%.
There was 3 theories though. One of the theories was actually an animal, right?
Yeah.
There's people that still want to go with that, but I don't see it possible. They're like, a bear took him, but no.
You would lose the shoes.
Yeah,
And
but it
it's a
didn't. I would.
family.
A
It's a
bear would have eaten
family,
Isaac
so-
and the grandfather first. They were much better looking eating.
If a
Right?
bear
I would
told
have
you,
grabbed Isaac first. Look at Isaac. Isaac looks like fresh meat.
I mean, it comes down to this. I mean, how does an animal get to him when
Yes.
Vern was with him the whole time? It's
Right.
not
Right.
grandpa that's watching him. It's the dad. So, I mean, that's the new picture. It's been that way for a long time. It's just some people don't see that part of the picture because when they're coming in to take a look at, the updates on the case, they're missing some of those updates as far as, hey, look, the parents have created a new picture. Listen to this, I mean, there's audio that back it up. I didn't just come up with this stuff. So I don't try to pretend I know more than this, No way.
right?
It's just a matter of sharing.
She starts to look down left. Maybe there's something happened between them. There's a lot that goes on when the child goes missing. And then he goes into some emotional eye accessing. She does a confirming glance. I don't see anything that looks like deception here. I see something that looks like a guy spilling his guts, using information just right off. This is the first thing I say. I'd ask questions around those baseline changes in her, but we don't get to hear from her. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you. This is a great opportunity, this one video here, to observe some baseline. This couple's going through something that I think they've probably said a whole bunch of times, and they're telling a few known truths here. And that's what we mean when we say baseline. How does this person behave when I can kind of prove what they're saying? A known truth. So the woman here, her name's Jessica, kind of seems to defer to him and looks to him while the question is being asked for confirmation several times, despite knowing the facts more accurately than he does, according to this video. And his cadence is fast, but it's not hurried. And he makes a mistake in his pronouns at the end here. If you're paying attention to our other videos and you've got training through our other videos, you might have heard that. But it's common in truthful storytelling. He says, they said, search and rescue, they were on our way. And I think he's telling and quoting someone at the same time. I think that's what we're really seeing here. But it's a great observation for baseline here in this clip. And we'll look for differences from this in the next few videos. Scott?
All right. I think right out of the gate, everything looks as it should. Everything sounds as it should. He's a little bit overbearing. He talks a little bit loud, but that's okay. Because what we're seeing are two people under a tremendous amount of stress. We don't see a whole lot of movement overall. That makes a lot of sense. There's not a whole lot of illustrating, which is fine at this point. Usually at the beginning, you'll see a whole lot of it because they're in a panic. They don't know what's happened. But now they've had a couple of days to think about what's happened and sort of come to terms with it as they continue to search for the child. We see him with a lot of eye contact, a lot of hard eye contact. Then he breaks eye contact, but that's okay. He should do that. That's totally normal. He's thinking. He's looking away to think. As he's thinking about stuff, he looks away. And that's fine. There'll be a lot of questions about what you're seeing here. And don't take the things you've read in magazines and seen from experts who aren't giving out valid information, because you'll get the wrong information on that if you've gathered that up over the years. So really be careful. You have to keep an open mind with this. He's using his head as an illustrator, and that's fine. And it's normal for some people that's all you see is that head illustrator when they talk. And when we say illustrators, like I'm always talking about, that's when your brain is focusing on a specific word or phrase. So it does that like I did just then. Sometimes it's with their hands, sometimes with their head, sometimes with their eyebrows. We see some adapting with his thumbs. So almost, we call it twiddling his thumbs when we were little. And I think that's because he's not bored, but he's got all this information and he wants to get it out. He looks like he wants things to move forward.
Or does he just want his story out or his narrative out and to make sure he gets it all out before she starts screwing up the story?
Well, I've got a hold of some of the original searchers, and they have told me that when they went up there to help the parents search, that they were just lounging around drinking, and that they hurried up into the camper to get ready, to look like they were ready to search. It was really off. They were tailgating and drinking and, all that other stuff since the search has happened. They were told not to help with the search. So maybe that's what they were doing, sitting back, having a drink. But who does that? I mean, their behavior has been odd.
That's definitely odd. You wouldn't be just chilling and hanging out when your kid was missing. No.
Yeah. I'm in contact with a lot of people, So, I mean, I want to make sure I get my answers correct. If I have questions, why not ask, right? I mean, so yeah, these searchers thought it was really pretty odd. They acted odd.
Right.
Everything that he's doing, he's showing things, he wants things to go forward, and he has a lot of information that he wants to get out, and so does she. His vocal tone is strong. His cadence is really fast. His cadence is how many words you speak in a sentence and how fast those come out. We refer to that as cadence. And he sounds clear and clean. He's one of those guys that talks real loud. So he's got a lot to say, and he does. And that's fine, because he's trying to get out all the information he possibly can to the TV, to whoever's watching, so they can maybe help him. I don't know how they can if they're across the country or whatever, but that's what usually happens. That's the road you go down. The mother looks the way she should. She looks tired. She looks a little bit haggard. She's sleepy. Her arms are crossed. And in this situation, that means nothing. A lot of times you hear people say there's arms are crossed. So they run into what I was saying, or they're turned off to the situation. They're barriering or blocking. It is kind of a barrier because she's kind of trying to soothe herself. She's pacifying herself. She's holding herself doing that. So it's sort of a self-protective thing at that point. So I'm under the impression she's not hiding anything. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to be doing those kind of things. So far, like I said before, everything looks as it should up to this point. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so let me point out some things that if you were trying to look for things not looking as they should, here's what you might go for. You might go for the fact that the male is locked down there, and you might miss that there's self-soothing going on. Now, is that self-soothing because he's
Mark, you are the weakest link. Bye-bye. God, every time I hear his accent, I think of her.
I know.
A couple of
I like Mark.
together.
I actually have a book over here. I was going to say I actually love the behavior panel, and I hate him at the same time because I seem to always disagree with the time I want to agree with them the most.
Yeah.
But the last bigger case that we looked at with the behavior panel was them talking about Don and Candace Wells.
Yeah, I saw
Yes.
that one. They
Right,
did
and
call
so,
her
like-
out a lot.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the last time I've watched anything from
they made
them.
the cornbread
Yeah.
mafia just a laughable kind of thing because it's kind of believable, but it's not exactly how it is, but it kind of is like that. So
I
it's
only
like
have
it was
one
really
interview
funny
to go
because
off of.
well, I just like it because I called her cornbread Candace afterwards. They kind of help. They help me out. I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I love them and hate them at the same time. But some of them I think that they push their narrative onto people without like giving the honest opinion. Like they're giving us a baseline, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but I have a book written by Mark Bowden actually, and it's a good book.
I think they're great
They're
people.
very intelligent people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Over
very
there,
great
subscribe
people.
if you guys
Yeah,
haven't.
so
Subscribed and go
This
there,
is
check them out.
definitely not a tear apart panel as far as like, putting them down at all. It's more
No, not
so
at all.
like, it's like, taking what they're seeing and kind of putting the reality with it, the things that they don't know about it.
Well, hell, they're probably right. They're the experts, not me. I'm just giving them my opinion, but this is why it's important to have your own opinion. You guys think tank. You don't always have to agree
Right.
at all, but you get kind of asked the questions. Like I would be like they probably haven't done as much studying this case before they did this, like Dr. Phil does on his cases, as they should, like more than we did. We did like 6 hour worth of shows on this already. Plus, I mean, they didn't use that much time to even not even a third of that. I bet.
Yeah.
Just a little few things that they had, listened to a few recordings, and listen. It seems like it's a clearer picture to me, just because I feel like I may know more. But like for you, if you need to stop it, that's what we're doing. I want you to stop and be like, that's not right, or this. If you know if it's right or wrong, just let me know so we can correct if you're right or wrong too.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Stress because of his child. There enough stress for you thinking about it. You think, wow, they've just lost their child. Well, 3 days ago, a lot happens in 3 days. A lot of adrenaline gets released that you can't get back again. So, but you might go, but he seems a bit locked down. She seems barriered, just as everybody's been saying. And maybe you might go, well, she seems to be hiding behind that blanket. Or you could say she's being comforted by that blanket, which has a very deep significance. Okay, so why is his focus on these getting the right amount of bars? Why the focus on completing the call to police rather than doing the best you can in the moment? I think if you were looking for...
Well, why wouldn't you try 911 right away? Red flag. Why wouldn't you try it instead of assume one bar is not good enough?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was seriously I feel like it was an excuse to just go down the road. No, whatever he was doing down there.
Red flags.
Red
That's
flag.
where I disagree with.
something to go, hang on, something going on here. You might go, you just want to get on the phone and just get some kind of message through rather than complete the whole message. You could pick on that. He says, I was in trouble.
Sir, we're on the other line with
go,
your wife
why are
for the
you in
last
trouble?
20
You're not in
minutes.
trouble unless you've done something wrong. So you could jump on that. You could jump on that he doesn't mention the name of the kid. At this point, we have she, we have they, we have he, we have other entities named. We also have the entity of, we were blessed. So another entity from outside blessed us with some kind of, and we often, will say when somebody starts bringing in higher entities.
Sorry, what was that?
Vernal does not use blessed as words. He does not use those kind of words. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
good
let me know
baseline
when to
for
stop
him.
it so we can. Yes, let me know when you want me to stop so we could actually. Because I wanted to stop. Because if you have something to say, I want them to hear it. Because if he doesn't use those words, I want them to know that.
No.
Whoever is out
Yeah,
there,
he
if
does
you
not
know
use
this,
those kind of words.
Wow.
He's not a
what
blessed kind of
words?
person. Blessed.
Hmm.
He's not a blessed kind of person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
That can be an issue. So look, I just want to highlight what you could very easily jump on to go, I think there's something up there. I think at this point, though, the positives on their side outweigh any of those negatives at this point, and you might be already jumping to the wrong conclusion. But we're only one video in. Who knows? Who knows what we'll see coming up?
So take us back, was it Friday?
I'm not sure what day it is today.
Today's
Yeah.
Monday, it was
It
Friday.
was Friday.
Friday at about 2:26 is when was it
It
2:26?
was 2:36 when I called.
It was 2:36 is when she called, and I was in the truck hauling down to the road trying to get service because I didn't think one bar would get it. So she got very, very lucky. I was blessed that she was able to get service because I didn't want to try and risk getting halfway through my talking to the 911 and have it cut off. So I went down to where I knew I can get a little service about a half mile down the road. We searched for, after about 20 minutes and in a dead panic, not knowing where he was in such a small area and not knowing, never being there, I knew I was in trouble. So we decided to call search and rescue. And that's when I drove down. She tried getting a signal out.
Thank
As
you.
soon as I got a hold of them,
Love
they
you
told
too.
me that she was on the other line with them and they had our location and they were on our way. They were amazing. They are amazing and they still continue to be. Lehigh County Sheriff and Sam and Search and Rescue, you could not ask for a better group of people, volunteers and Search and Rescue and just everybody. You couldn't ask for better people. So sincere, so concerned. And everybody was so emotionally attached to this as anybody would be of a 2-year-old. He's pretty small for his age, but he moves pretty good. And that was our concern.
And actually, Vernal, you have the same name as him, don't you?
Yeah, Dior.
Doesn't Vernal have the same name?
Yeah, Vernal Dior
Yes.
Kuntz. This is a good baseline for Vernal. He does actually talk and ramble as fast as he does. Not all the words make sense, but that is his character and how he talks to people. He's fast, he's loud.
But he's a namesake to his son. Like, he's a namesake to his son. He should be. If he did something like this to that, then that's just disgusting.
I agree.
Right.
He was right with. Where it's at is, I mean, I thought it would be perfect to go camping there because it's enclosed by walls of mountains and there's not much space around there that he could go. And our biggest concern was the creek, which was knee deep, few feet wide, but he's a little guy. They finally, yesterday, we were able to put that to rest, and Lehigh County Sheriff, Sheriff Dave, and the rest of the sheriffs have put out that they assured me there is 100% chance that he is not anywhere in that water, around that water. They have torn that creek upside down and in and out. Divers have gone through wetsuits along with the helicopter. That was the world's most advanced search and rescue helicopter volunteered out of Montana. And those guys were just amazing. The accuracy they had with the night vision ability it has and the heat range it can see. They were the one guy, I can't remember his name. I've met so many people, so many good people, but
Thank you for the gifted membership.
he was his own safety.
Thank you, Amber.
He was more or less, he was strapped in and he was on the side of that helicopter looking, and he was looking down. I remember them telling me that they asked the search and rescue to go look over because there was an orange insect repellent can, they think, by the bank, and they were dead on. That's what it was. That's how accurate these guys are.
They thought it might have been like a part of a shoe
or something.
but they said, go check that out.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, we'll start with the baseline. His cadence continues in a quick but not hurried tone here. The passing gestures are continuing with his hands.
James Blunt, I'm gifted.
And there's word repetition, and there's no use of the name again. A couple of things that we often identify as red flags when they're accompanied by a mountain of things.
I'm sorry, you said identify?
Did he say identify?
Yeah, he definitely did say identify.
Yeah.
I know what people identify as identified. Come on, Chase, get together.
Identify, but how do you identify?
Yeah, they're the experts. It must be identified. Obviously, crime.
Oh, okay. They've changed it. Okay.
Continues to exhibit these behaviors that indicate this constant adjustment of the jacket the blanket in her lap, the movement of her foot, and the confirmation glances around the whole room. And some people might think this is a cluster. I think about it in terms of generalized versus focal points of stress or discomfort. Is it generalized? Is it focal? But what we're seeing here is generalized discomfort. They aren't focal on a singular issue. And this might be the presence of tons of cameras that she's never maybe been on, sitting in this.
That's identifiable.
And they're backed into a corner of a conference room before. Maybe a combination of that and the grief that they're maybe still going through here if they are innocent. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. So Mail starts illustrating more now and opening up. I think that's in his favor. A lot of focus there on the insect repellent can, some details there. Okay. Why does he want to go for these details? World's most advanced, accomplished, so many good people. So why is he bringing us to how good everybody else is and raising that status of everybody else? Is it that he's trying to divert us, our attention, or is it that he's genuinely placating and thanking people because he wants them to do even more work? How much does he want people to be involved in stuff? Or how much does he want us to go, okay, look at this, all these people over here, and look at the detail that they picked up on? So I want you to weigh those up in your mind. There's the female there, very definitely comforting with that blanket that almost looks at the moment like she's holding a child. So is it that she's mimicking the holding of a child there, or is it that she's using that as a barrier so we can't see some of the anxious behaviors that could be going on? Because, it all depends on what mindset we've joined this at. If we've got a mindset that says, hey, the parents are most likely guilty, which would be accurate. I mean, statistically, you're already on the right lines, but you've got to work out how much is that going to distort, to a certain extent, what you view these behaviors as. So always check yourself and your bias before you enter into this. She checks the mail during the interview. Is that threat checking? I mean, depends on your bias. Or is it checking he's got it right? Is she not joining in? Is she not joining in because she sees him as a threat, or not joining in because he's doing a great job and he wants him to continue? Again, it might depend on your bias, which way you go on that. Look at her red face. Look at her red face. Is that the red face of sunburn?
Her mom, Trina is messaging her at that time. The grandma is in the background wanting to talk about a medical bag that was stolen out of one of the medical vehicles during the camping during that weekend. And they're like, we'll get to it. So they never got to it. And I'm not sure why, but they just kept pushing that off. So that's what's going on, is Justice looking at her mom's text saying, hold on a second. She puts her finger up even. And then later you'll see Vernal. We'll get to that. That's what's going on there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Because she's been out so much, looking is extreme stress. She's broken out in hives across her face because she's so stressed out about her son being missing? Or is it the red face of somebody who is guilty and has broken out? Well, it kind of all depends on your bias around here. My bias personally at the moment, from all that I'm seeing, is already leaning towards this is the usual behavior that we should see from somebody a couple who are looking after their kid and are worried about them, and they're not involved in anything nefarious. But I'm open. My mind could be changed on this. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, Mark, I think when we talk about bias, let's talk about one of the most famous cases of a missing child in history, Lindy Chamberlain, who had her child taken by dingoes. And nobody believed her because her affect was off. And lots of folks at the time said...
So you obviously, James Blonde, have seen this before, or you said the same thing earlier, something about a dingo didn't take him. Is that the reference to this?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Okay. I guess that would only be that's what I was thinking.
Well, I'm thinking maybe an animal.
Something's wrong with her, and she was a person. Because you can't look at Lindy Chamberlain, you can't look at these people like you look at me or like you look at Chase. We have to pay attention to the person and what they're doing. And people make themselves comfortable with data. If you've ever watched Dan Aykroyd, who I think is phenomenal as a comedian, and in roles, he does this guy over and over and over in many cases, that forceful voice with lots of information and too much when he's telling you. He does that all the time. This guy is almost a caricature because he leans on data. The more data he gives you, the more believed he is. Doesn't mean he's hiding something necessarily, but as we listen, anytime we hear him using data, he'll feel comfortable. He'll not adapt. He'll not do a lot of those things. He'll not stammer or stutter. What we will see is change when he runs out of data. So it's interesting to watch that. It's also interesting to watch the human dynamic. Remember that humans put information in their head in certain ways. Some of us are really detailed. Some of us are more broad. I say people remember events in terms of time, event, or sequence. Time meaning details about when something happens. Events, big chew yesterday. And then sequence is just walk through the process. Chase and I might be more driven by clock because of our military background than most folks, but other folks will have a lot more detail than we will in some cases. As the dynamic of these people, he may always speak first and always speak over her, and then she waits for her chance to interject. That would be my guess, watching the way this thing goes, because we see that ankle. First of all, we see her react when small for his age. She does a distaste move.
Like, do you think that she could be doing that because she's nervous because she wants to tell on him, but she's like scared of him? Wasn't she scared of Vernal?
Yes, that's actually what she says. She says that the reason why she didn't come forward with the information about him not going down to the creek with her is because she's scared of him.
Yeah. You feel sorry for her? Okay, so listen, she's probably been hit before. I'm not going to lie. He looks like that kind of guy. And she seems like that's the case.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it sounds like it was a very controlling relationship.
They were married right there. Look at the way they were sitting while their child is missing. Like, away from each other. Yeah, you can tell
the way that they're looking at each other is just really strange. I mean,
surprised it's not brought up by these people yet.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like that's the first thing you see in body language. They want to talk about a foot. Yeah, my foot be going like that too if my abuser's sitting right next to me.
Exactly.
I like how she looks at
anxiety is
Vernal.
right all the way up the hill right there. Yeah, he seems very
When
intimidating.
Vernal says that he went down to the creek with her, the look she gives him, it's almost like, the more I watch it, it's like
you're robotic right now.
What?
Did anybody else hear that, or is it just me?
I don't know. I'm robotic.
That sounds okay to me.
You're robotic.
Let's see if it's me.
Robotic.
But then she pretty quickly moves back to nodding in confirmation. We said, but he's a pretty quick mover. Her ankle comes up again when he said, I thought it would be safe with mountains on all sides. That makes me wonder, was there discussion about that when the kid disappeared? Because stressful things occur. They use the current tense, present tense, when they say he is a little guy.
My computer's
the
lagging.
same movement from her comes again when they're talking about the helicopter, and she does some mouth grooming there. And I wonder, what does she want to say? Hey, get to the point or something. But this guy's chaffing. We always say chaff and redirect. There's no redirect. If he was trying to hide something, he has every opportunity because I let him chaff and chaff and chaff, and he doesn't. Again, I agree with you, Mark. When he starts talking about the helicopter, his hands come up. Every time we see her speak, we're going to notice that foot starting to move. So it's a good baseline for us to run from. Scott, what do you got?
I agree with that. And I think it's because she's a little bit nervous as well. It's because of the situation she's in. Her arms are all crossed and her foot's doing that because, like I think it was Chase saying earlier, this is new for her. She's in a room in an interview and it's about her child who's missing. And we got to keep in mind there's a lot of stress going on here. This isn't a normal conversation that they're having with someone about anything. It's about their missing child. So that's why it's so different. So keep that in mind as we go through this, because I agree with you, Mark. This is starting to do it. Like you said, Chase, the father is about the same. He hasn't, for the most part. His cadence hasn't changed. His diction is still great. His voice volume is, you can understand everything he's saying. They're going to be those people who say the mother looks suspicious, like we've all been saying. And that's because she keeps, as she's looking, she looks at the interviewer and she'll look back at him. She'll look at the interviewer and look at her husband, and back and forth, almost like she's nervously looking, but she is nervously looking back and forth. She knows the information he's given. She's heard this before. I'm sure this isn't the first interview they've done, but they've been talking to the police. They've been going through different versions of. They're trying to find out. They're telling different versions of the story, and I don't believe they have been. Nothing in this thing changes as we go through this. Notice that the story stays the same. No.
How many times have he heard? How many times has he heard them to tell the story?
No, none. This is the first time.
How's he comparing it to
the
other?
Yeah.
So how is he talking about the other times that he told the story then?
I think that he's getting the gist of the whole case and realized that there have been multiple stories said, and then just kind of has that floating around in his head because this is definitely the very first interview. They have never explained it to anybody yet, except their family members. So, yeah, it's weird.
Okay.
Definitely.
No changes, no glitches. Like, the mother's listening because she wants to the father because she wants to make sure his information is correct, I believe. And he's saying the same things he's been saying, but she's just making sure that that their story doesn't change, that everything is as it should be, because she wants as much of the real information to get out as she possibly can because they're trying to find her kid. She's quiet, but when she does speak, she's strong and clear as well. Like I said before, he sounds a little overbearing because he's so loud and he's so on. He's telling exactly what he thinks. And his illustrators don't get huge, like you guys were saying, until he starts talking about the helicopter. That's fine too, because I believe he's confident with what he's saying. He probably doesn't need a lot of illustrators. Everything seems positive. There's nothing deceptive so far to me. I don't see anything like that. I think he feels a little bit of guilt when he says, "I thought it would be perfect," when he's talking about the camping spot. And because of the way he doesn't shut down, but things change a little bit there. But I think he feels a little bit of guilt because of that. And again, it's really important to keep in mind. You may have heard hundreds of bits of information about, oh, this when you do this, it means a lie every time, or when they do this, it means that. It sounds like we do that, but we don't. Those are absolutes. Every time someone scratches their nose, they're not telling you the truth. Every time someone lifts one shoulder, they're not telling you the truth. We'll tell you 4 or 5, 9 different things that are going on when someone does a short one shoulder shrug. So keep in mind, there's so much more going on from this perspective, from our perspective, that we're seeing that the normal armchair body language expert won't be seeing, because that person may not be aware of all these other things these things could mean to the point.
Yeah.
And Nicole, the body hasn't been found yet. There are a few updates. They're coming out as Callie brings them out, and she just rage quit. She'll be back.
Oh no!
I guess she did have bad audio. Yeah, the dad felt guilty. I don't know.
All right. Okay, Chase.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Go.
They were amazing. They
Look at
are
them
amazing,
sitting
and they still continue to be. Lima High
Far
County
away from
Sheriff
each
and
other if
Salmon
they
Search and
can.
Rescue. You could not ask for a better group of people, volunteers in search and rescue, and just everybody. You couldn't ask for better people. So sincere, so concerned, and they were. Everybody was so emotionally attached to this, as anybody would be of a 2-year-old. He's pretty small for his age, but he moves pretty good, and that was our concern. He was right with us. Where it's at.
So could he have ran behind the truck when he was backing up, going somewhere?
Yes.
Yep.
He could have, couldn't he?
That's
He was fixing
entirely
his
possible.
turbo. He was fixing his turbo. That's what he was doing, and that's what I have as far as information. He was fixing his turbo. Yeah, I guess he has a turbo truck, his Dodge Cummins, and he hates fishing. He hates camping, and he wanted to come
would he
up
go
with an
then?
excuse. I don't know. He's literally spent that whole time finding excuses to go back home. So it really makes sense if he was to have issues and have an argument or whatever.
So whose real option was it to go out to camp? Who wanted to go out camping? I mean, it just didn't. I mean, did nobody come up with it and they just went?
Yeah, well, Grandpa supposedly wanted to go, and the grandma talked him into going.
Go with Grandpa.
Yeah,
like we don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm not taking my kid out to somewhere I don't want to go. That's a fact.
exactly.
Yeah,
He did not want to go. He did not want to go.
If Grandpa wanted to go, and Isaac was the friend or whatever that kind of took care of him, why didn't the two of them just go together?
Exactly, they were capable.
Yeah, more than capable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
makes
would
you
make
wonder.
a whole lot more
Makes you wonder.
sense.
You got to look at Jess too, right? Because it makes you wonder, like, did she do something to screw up, or did she get back at him, or she didn't want kids? Was she with somebody else at that time already? Because she got married within 8 months.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
close to. Yeah, she must have been banging around somewhere.
I could picture a fight happening, and then he gets in his truck and he just storms and forgot that Dior was
runs over him on accident. Now it's your fault. Now you're going to help me, right?
Yeah. And he had already made a trip down the road by then. By the time he got, so it's interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
That is, I mean, I thought it would be perfect to go camping there because it's enclosed by walls of mountains, and there's.
Sorry, Crime. That was rude. Were you saying something?
No, I was
rude of
saying
me to shut off. I thought I heard you. I have a lag, so I apologize.
It's all right. No, I mean, I was just saying it doesn't tell our story here.
Very first interview, even.
Not much space around there that he could.
Right. That's why I think the behavior panel is reading it a little bit wrong. I think there's something more that went on. Look at the way she's looking at him in disgust.
Well, I'm in contact with Chase's peoples, and so I'm kind of waiting for him to get back to me to see if he'll dig deeper.
Go. And our biggest concern was the creek, which was knee deep, a few feet wide, but he's a little guy. They finally, yesterday, we were able to put that to rest, and Lima High County Sheriff, Sheriff Dave, and the rest of the sheriffs have put out that they assured me there is 100% chance that he is not anywhere in that water, around that water. They have torn that creek upside down and in and out. Divers have gone.
So now it makes sense. I need tampons, but really don't. Him going to get extra gas because he's gone afterwards, or we might need a lot more gas to bury this kid somewhere. I think the kid was already either deceased or at home. Are you sure the kid even made it to the campsite?
It's not 100% confirmed that he made it to the campsite. It's very possible.
That would be the easiest way to get him to disappear without the illusion of him being there. Would be the perfect.
You know what Vernal's doing right now? He's saying it's been checked. This guy really, like, he can totally look from the helicopter and see everything. If they would have found something, they would have found it. You know, he's luring them off of the mountain as he's speaking right now. He's like, basically, go somewhere else and look. This is cleared. He's diverting.
Through wetsuits and with a helicopter. That world's most advanced search and rescue helicopter volunteered out of Montana. And those guys were just amazing. The accuracy they had with the night vision ability it has and the heat range it can see. They were the one guy, I can't remember his name. I've met so many people, so many good people, but his own safety, he was more or less, he was strapped in and he was on the side of that helicopter looking, and he was looking down. I remember them telling me that they asked the search and rescue to go look over because there was an orange insect repellent can, they think, by the bank, and they were dead on. That's what it was. That's how accurate these guys are.
They thought it might have been like a part of a show
or something,
but they said, go check that out.
The hearsay of things has kind of gotten way out of hand. The search is so far has been put on that has been suspended, and that is not entirely sure or true. Sheriff Dave of Lemhi County, I just spoke with him on the phone this morning. He has got horseback riding.
Did you see her little hand gesture and her cutting her eyes to the side?
It's kind of like,
there?
shut up and move on. Like, you're going a little too far off the tree branch here.
Well, you're not sticking to the script, neither one of them. Or she is. She hasn't said a word.
Now, and very, very advanced professional. I'll be going up and I've just come down to get any resource I can get to go back up today. What questions did you guys have?
I love that part.
Well, basically you've said everything we need, and then some.
I love that part.
Mark's taking a break for a second. Mark, you done? You good? Okay, he's done.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll be short on this one. His hand, he's illustrating it.
Mark, pay attention to Greg. Mark.
As he talks about the search. Love that. They all make eye contact with somebody who comes in the room. So there's a lot of disturbance going on around here. If you pay attention to him now, he's telling, but he's also not spewing data. I think his comfort is when he has enough data to be able to sound credible. And when he doesn't, then he starts to stammer a little bit. This is not about, he's just telling you what he thinks. So you hear a change in cadence. I don't think that means anything. And you hear him change tone at the end. What questions do you have? All this stuff looks like congruent messaging to me. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I would agree. Look, he's squeezing the mail on that one because he really wants to control the hearsay on it. And he's been asked to do that. You know, tell us about the hearsay. Okay, let me control this now. So that is very, very congruent, I would say. There's a sense of the loss of.
It's okay, you can say that, but Dawn and Candace do hate each other. I wasn't lying. These two hated each other too. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. They did at one point like each other.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously the very first time they ever met.
Well, Vernal just found out that he had a kid too, a different kid.
And he's digitized by the end of that. But we don't.
What was that?
Vernal just found out that he had another kid as well, right around this time or just a little bit before, and that he owed child support. So he has actually 2 kids. We just don't talk about that one because it's not relevant, related to the case.
No, we don't have to talk about the kid, but like, what about like it? When did Jessica and him get together? How long were they together before she got pregnant? Because apparently, it seems like it was a fling or a one-night stand. She must have got pregnant because
he's through high school. They're high school sweethearts, and then they split up at some point. She got married, had 2 kids, and that didn't work out.
If he had a kid before her, that means that they weren't together. High school sweethearts, they could. Yeah, we don't count that. When did they start dating again to where they had a kid, or she got pregnant? Was it like?
I think she got pregnant really quickly. Yeah, I think it was really quickly.
Yeah, it must have been.
Hear his hands and make any kind of noise. If I heard a noise at the end of hang on, why so dejected that you made that noise at the end? Why that loss at the end? But it seems congruent for me. Like he's doing his best to control this thing. At the same time, he's got a missing child. What questions do you guys have? Now, often we might say, oh, he's searching for information now, wants to know what they have. But again, that would already be in a cluster of all kinds of other behaviors that we're seeing that's leading us down this road to go, hang on, there's chaff and redirect going on. There's loss of fluency around these things. And now you're searching for what the interrogator might have. No, he just gave that lost gesture. He's like, get me to do some more. whatever I need to do, I'm going to do to try and fill the gap, just to fill the gap. And still the female literally using that blanket as a comforter now, as a symbol of the child, I would say. Behaviors that I think are, all of this, behaviors that I would expect to see from people who are looking for their child. But again, I'm always open. Chase, what do you got on this one?
I'm almost for the way I would do this is either it's a possibility that if he had blood on his well, right? You said?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, we'd have to know when the last time he washed his truck. Like,
he
could have
said,
hit road. Was it human blood? Do you know? You said
no,
they
they
tested it in the
couldn't.
past.
They couldn't determine it because it was washed down.
Mm.
But I'm sorry. He said that he hit a deer at one point. Do you back up over a deer? I mean, are you in reverse on the freeway or highway or whatever, and you run into a deer? I mean, how else are you going to get an animal?
If you hit a deer, it'll fly up, and then the wind will take it back, and you'll go underneath it. Or
Exactly.
you'll
Yeah.
smash, and you'll stop and stay in front of you, and go under your car, maybe.
And what kind of animal are you going to back up onto that's going to create,
Bob, Candace and Doug totally hate
One thing
each
we
other.
are starting to see here is a continued.
I'm going to go with Candace and Doug definitely hate each other, Bob. Candace and Doug definitely hate each other. Now, if you're saying Candace and Don don't hate each other, that's one thing. But if you're going to say that I hate Candace, that's another thing I do. I think you meant Don, though.
Right.
So I wanted to say, like, I have to think, like, where was that? Yeah, body damage. Was there any body damage?
I don't think so. But that truck was,
it would cause damage.
I've not heard of any.
No, that truck was purchased by his best friend a week before the camping trip and sold back to his friend a week after the camping trip. And that friend took it to the scrapyard and had it scrapped down for metal right after the FBI saw it. So there was no more further testing to be done on it. Basically, it's gone.
That's a big red flag.
Big red flag. Yeah. Very interesting.
Hope in people who are watching this show. It's not about their story. So far, we're not seeing a lot of hallmarks of what I would expect to see in a guilty party. And keep in mind that if someone uses a checklist to really determine with certainty that someone is guilty, they're an idiot. But checklists still can be very helpful to tell you where to direct attention. So here's really quickly the 5 points that I look for when I'm observing a video remotely similar to this. With their concern.
I mean, like, Chase, I started this. I could stop this right now with one click of the button. Just one click, Chase. See what happens.
Tell us how you really feel. Do it again.
Throw those Clippy McClipboards away with Chase.
I like Chase. Out of all of them, he was the closest one to be where I'm at by the end.
Yeah, out of this world? On another planet? What are we talking here?
No, he sees some guilt in them.
And outlook. Those 5 things. Where's their concern, stress?
He seems what?
Oh, I think he sees the guilt. Yeah.
Information, emotion, outlook. Restore locating the missing person. All right. Is the stress around their story or the missing person? Is the information vague or specific? Is the emotion shame or guilt or sadness and desperation? Because those are very different and they look very different. And finally, the outlook, are they introducing complexity or encouraging assistance? And we're seeing them pretty good, about 5 for 5 here on all these points. Scott?
All right. This is the most movement we've seen from him so far. And when he's looking at the interviewer, he's making sure he's being believed, and making sure that and by that I mean not making sure he's being believed, but he's making sure that his information is coming across clear, that the guy gets and understands what he's talking about. And he's just relaying the information he's aware of. Then his hands go up and they hold that position. And this lets us know that that information is so important to him. He's so focused on that he forgets his hand is staying there. It sort of like sticks there in the air. And that's not uncommon. That'll happen when somebody's telling you something really important. They'll leave that hand. They're telling you something, not illustrate, but they'll be telling you something else as that's happening because they're so focused on what they're talking about, making sure you get the correct information or making sure they see what's happening.
So Chase, the way he's holding himself right now does this mean he's comforting himself? Because a lot of people say that's a comforting position, or is that him just listening and acknowledging?
It almost looks like he has a difference of opinion.
Well, he's nodding yes. Is he saying no with this?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, you got to, I mean, it
Yeah.
depends on who you are reading somebody
Yeah.
else's body language.
But what is he doing?
Right,
Is he
like-
pacifying himself?
Yeah, but it's not about him. But I'm just saying, like, you have to think: is he agreeing with? Are the panel really in agreement on everything or not?
I don't think so.
I'm
No.
not sure.
No.
I don't know.
They
They all say
bounce.
yes.
I know they always
I don't
they
think
do
so
that.
either.
way.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused on that. But
Yeah.
it is because they don't want to call the other one wrong because the other one's
I
saying it
think
under
that's
as
what
an
it is.
expert.
Yeah.
And they all have
that's
play
what
buttons.
it
Each
is.
one of them have play buttons. So like, yeah, say it to our play button. See what happens. Oh, Mark even has his play button in the back too. Oh, he chased us too. Oh, you guys got buttons. How cute.
Yeah.
Pushing each other's buttons.
Depending on
Right.
what they watch. So I think that's important to keep in mind there. He's so focused on doing what he's talking about. He's really not aware of what the rest of his body's doing in a big way. Some like we were talking about, some people see there at the end where he said, "What questions did you have?" They're going to see that as a red flag because he stumbles. Try to stay unbiased during this, because what we usually see are two parents, and they know what's happened. Or at least one of them knows what's happened to the child, and they know that child isn't coming back. And we see behavior that's completely different than this. We don't see them hanging on to each other. We don't see them those hard checks looking at each other while they're talking and connecting like that, and making sure everything's the same, or making sure that spouse believes them as well as this other person, since the spouse may not know what's happening.
See, I've done a video where like the families that have missing people, like even Tyler and Brandy from Monkey Vaughn, whenever they're together, like their hands are touching each other or holding hands or something. You know what I mean? The love is there. You don't see that with like this or the Don and Candaces or people like that. You just don't see that, right? They're very similar. Like,
Yeah. It's almost like
the one
one
knows
of them.
something.
Yeah, exactly. That's how. Yeah. Spot on, Doug.
That's real. As we go, y'all, everything else. So I've really got nothing else put in. All right, but good.
Thank you for membership.
That's right.
The hearsay of things has kind of gotten way out of hand. The search is so far has been put on that has been suspended, and that is not entirely sure or true. Sheriff Dave of Lemhi County, I just spoke with him on the phone this morning. He has got horseback riders and trackers out there right now, and very, very advanced professional. I'll be going up with, and I've just come down to get any.
So let me get this straight. Grandpa wanted to go, and he brought his friend Isaac.
Yep.
These two go and bring their kid. Why do they even get if Grandpa wants to go out there and go? Why are they even going to leave their kid with Grandpa in the first place? The hell is it so important for them to go do for a place that they don't even want to be?
Yeah, they had to come up with an excuse of
Duh.
someone
This is what I'm trying to go there.
unreliable was
Yeah.
in charge of him at the time. That's what it was.
It makes total sense, right?
And Sweet Melissa is my partner, so if anybody if she answers, then I'd take it seriously.
Yeah, so that's my feelings.
Yeah, I
Go
agree.
right back up today. What questions did you guys have?
Tell us a little bit about, so how are you guys holding up? I know a lot of people are praying for you. They're concerned. about
Friends and
Pretty-
family, and
The
hoping to be
support
strong for
around
him.
us is what I know keeping me together, because if we didn't have all of our family, the minute I called my mom and she was up there in a matter of hours, and
She
the
knows
rest of
what
our family,
happened.
they were just up there
Those
around us.
luckily, I had a few phone calls is all it took at first. And we had, just as Sheriff Davis said in the news, there was 175 plus people up there in the grid searches, volunteers, professionals, and anybody I called. There's the service up there is very here, there. It's camping, you know.
Grandpa's the only one that passed also.
Grandpa and Isaac both took
we're-
polygraphs.
We have hope is the thing.
Did they? And
There's
they
only
both,
them two?
and they both passed, right?
According to the one law enforcement person that I have spoken to, they took a stress analysis test and they kind of passed. Isaac is definitely highlighted in their view as the only person that's told the truth. But yes, they all took lie detector tests, but only the parents took 4 and 5 of them and failed. And the grandmother took one and it was inconclusive.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hope is what keeps it going. Hope is because the search is not over. Search is not done. We will find him no matter what.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
This is the guy, like you mentioned Home Depot one time, and then like 45 minutes later, he's like, and then in November, You go in there and they've got a 20% off coupon. So you can get the same saw and the same lumber and really get that thing built out the exact way that you want it to go. You can take that out. You can totally edit that out.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I'll take it out.
Totally true.
All right.
Yes, guys.
So there's a few things unfolding here, I think, that are very important to understanding the behavior here. So keep in mind, we're not the forensics panel and we're not experts on this case. If you've been studying this case a while, educate us down in the comments and let us know what you think. But some key points here. There's no need in them to display emotional reactions and sadness for the cameras. They're not doing that. We're not seeing that. The only behavior on display here is his level of personal organization, which I think is just his personality. I do not think he's an organized person, and I do think that's a display. Jessica has no need to make these claims about how stressed or sad they are. They called their family and police immediately and openly discuss it and talk about it, which is another green flag, if we can say that. Finally, Jessica's mouth stays open after she speaks and after her statements. This is one of the small but very reliable things that I look for when I'm watching anything like this. And this is an indicator the statements are genuine to me. One caveat, while the statements I'm seeing here I think are genuine, keep in mind that no hard or direct questions about guilt or involvement have been asked yet. So with that said, in most cases of guilty parties, you'll see them redirect the situation to their story, no matter what the interviewer says. So even with these questions, you're still more likely to see them redirect it to their suffering, their innocence, and how they did everything right. And we're not seeing it. Scott?
I agree with you. And who's the girl the woman who murdered the child and left him in a hotel room in a bag? That's the
Teresa Balboa. Teresa Balboa.
The perfect example of what you're talking about, Chase. Yeah. So go back and watch that episode that we did, because what you're talking about there, that's exactly what happened there. All right. Now, he seems like he's taking over the conversation for his wife. He seems like he's talking over and stuff. He is. That's the kind of guy he is. That's who he is. Relationship, he's the talker. He's the one. She may not be shy, but she sure seems shy here. And he's the one that talks all the time because he's really loud and he's really the guy that takes charge of stuff in that relationship. So that's totally fine. But again, when she talks, she makes her point, and she talks loud and strong, and she makes valid points. So that's probably why they get along. He's a little bit louder than she is, but they get along. They seem like the perfect couple for that yin and yang, or yin yang, how you say it. So there's been no change in the story, no odd behavior, no strange wording of the situation itself. Everything is flowing the way it should. He's what we call eloping, where you're just kind of on a horse, where you're kind of loping along and just telling the story, and the facts are coming out, and he's going out. There's no hardcore stopping, thinking, talking, moving things around, making sure your story is correct. I'm not seeing any of that. You see him loping along, both of them, just talking and telling what they think and tell what they think the situation looks like, and wondering how they can help. Again, some people are going to look at that mother and think something's wrong, but I'm not seeing any deception on her whatsoever. Nothing at all. Everything looks to me the way it should at this point. All right. Is that all of us?
No.
Oh, Mark?
Yeah. Both of us. You're the only two.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But I'm so used to going last. It's like, dang, what?
Really quick. At the time of filming, they were engaged. They never did get married.
Right. They just lived together. Yeah. You can still call them a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. So look, to this point of, they look like they're together. I don't know what their relationship is now, but you may have information and you might go, oh, but they're not together. So that is, any couple after the loss of a child that stay together is an absolute miracle. It's an anomaly of the statistics. Losing a child as a good generalization that I will win at the casino every time will break up most every couple. So, he is for sure super positive about this. We will find him no matter what. And then there's just some slight bitterness in the mouth there. And you might go, oh, the bitterness. Okay, there's some deception going on. No, it's the no matter what. Pay attention to that. We will find him no matter what. There is some doubt in there or worry in there as to the condition of the child, if the child is to be found. So positive, at the same time, some deep worry there. Super positive, the female there. They were
the poll people, the new one I just put up. I meant to put the parents in the top. Was this an accident cover up by the parents? So that's going to be the accident cover up question. Yeah, I guess you can answer however you want, but it'll change actually what this question actually looks like. Did the dingo get him? Do Isaac and Bob know, or do the parents know that it was an accident cover up kind of thing? Please. Actually, it's still fast enough. I can change it. I'll just do this. So I'll vote. You guys can re-vote again. You vote again. I know I'm making it difficult on you. It is what it is. Don't judge me.
He's the amount of people there. If you've committed a crime, the last thing you want is a lot of people, because just that amount of processing power, the chances that somebody will find something on unearth something that puts you in the frame just go higher. And
Hold on.
So during the search, I believe it was that Saturday, so the next day, there was a person who came through the campground, and I have yet to literally figure out who this person is. They went to the reservoir and dumped cremains. So I don't know if this was a helpful thing for the parents to like, hey, do you have anybody that can dump cremains in here so we can get away with some sense or something? I don't know. But there were cremains dumped. And at some point, that person was tracked down and cleared, and that's to my knowledge. But yeah,
is it like a decoy? Is it like a decoy? It's not the remains of him.
Yeah, that's because it would. I don't know. Cadaver dogs, do they spell cremains? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, depends. Yeah, they'll find death.
The track dogs kept going from the reservoir to the truck to the reservoir to the truck. So whether they took to the
it depends on what kind of dog you have too. There's two different kinds of dogs. You have
these were
a
tracking
live
dogs.
dog.
Yeah,
Okay, so
live scent dogs were used first. Yeah,
but they're not used for dead bodies. Live scent dogs aren't used for dead bodies unless they're trained for both.
Right.
They don't always train for both.
No.
So they could have been using the wrong damn dogs.
Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah, most likely. Red flag that one.
You know that the last thing you want is family around, because family know each other really, really well. And family,
I mean, honestly, they went with a missing kid. They said, yeah, it's a missing kid. He's just disappeared. So yeah, they're going to bring live scent dogs, and they're not going to. Yeah, they pretty much.
They brought cadaver dogs later.
Yeah, they knew he was dead.
And they hit all over the campground.
The kid's already out there, and if cadaver dogs hit on the truck, at any time, unless it was washed enough.
The truck was gone by then. When cadavers finally came in, they picked up all around the campground, and they picked up exactly where Vernal called 911.
Yeah, so he's not out there. Yeah,
no, and there was a dug hole near that 911 call as well, 1.5 miles out of the campground.
Morgan, you watch this at 2 times the speed, and I'm already sped up to 1.25. I could only imagine what you were trying to listen to them about. Yeah, you probably can understand. You could probably understand Mark perfectly because the accent always. Yeah, but like every.
You go, hang on though, that's not right. Hang on, I know you too well. So the last thing you want is family and lots of people. Your chances of getting caught go up. They're inviting family. They're inviting. We had one perpetrator. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like, no, don't. There's no point in coming here. You won't be able to find anything. It's so difficult in this.
Why would you invite anybody to a place that's so crappy that you don't like doing anything at? So confused why they're even there.
Well, I mean, if you take the kid out of the campground,
the family not to show.
What?
If you take the kid out of the campground, people are going in the campground to look for the kid. They're not looking for him outside of the campground.
Well, he's not there at all. He's gone from that location.
Let's just say he was during that day because they didn't have time to move him far enough. Why would Dad go down the road 3 different times, hauling down there?
Right.
Go up. Just no. So it's looking like people who want other people around. That's not usual for people who've committed a crime, and a great deal of positivity, even though there's that bitterness at the end. Greg, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, a handful of things, and it's all behavior, very little body language. A couple of things, Mark, you just pointed out. This guy is inviting lots of scrutiny. We also, Chase, you pointed out early, he is detail oriented. And so when we think about guilty people versus innocent people, I call it steering versus clearing. If I'm trying to find my kid, I want all the help in the world to find my kid. That's steering. If I want you not to think it was me, that's clearing. A guy with this level of detail is going to give you a hell of a lot of reasons why it's not him when he goes to clear.
Yes, Kelly?
I didn't say anything.
Did you do that? I thought you lifted your hand up to stop it. Okay.
And this guy's not doing it. He's using all of his details to tell you people are looking and what's going on. He doesn't redirect. He's online every time. So it's a good stay on point, stay on story, deliver what you're after. That's number one. The other thing that's interesting to me is he walks down the path where he immediately blasts out quicker than her. We call it overbearing. There's no eye contact with her whatsoever. He just starts talking. But it's possible, entirely possible, that's intentional to keep her from being lambasted with questions of that. Don't know. We don't know enough about the relationship. I would assume that he's, the one who's a talker, as you say, Scott, but it's also possible that he is trying to protect her. And the reason I say that is because once he starts to broadcast what he thinks and she joins in.
Thank you, Greg.
Right?
Fine, it's about time.
Well, he's gonna change it to innocent in a second, I'm sure.
Well, if you're sure, then we can just skip it.
He stops and makes hard eye contact and wants her, and some response was shaking head. No.
But he also was the one talking the whole time, right? And she wants to say something. He was talking over at first and then stops and goes, "Oh, go ahead."
Yeah.
So who's directing the
Yeah, I
story
mean,
and who's
he's-
directing the narrative or the storyline? You also got to think that both of those ways too. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Vernal definitely seems like he is the one that's trying to direct the narrative and trying to like steer the
The messenger.
conversation completely.
I got this, you be quiet. You know, you can't get in trouble or go wrong if you don't answer questions or
Yeah,
ask
no, there's only one
questions.
story that's being told, and there's not a chance to screw it up because I keep telling the same story. It seems like
Right.
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I was about the search. So I think we're looking at this guy and he were trying to get out of it.
No dingoes.
He would not let her talk at all. And he would try to drive as many points in his favor as he possibly could. And we would see more steering, more clearing and not steering. So I think looks trustworthy.
I think they said there's only two things in Texas: steers and clears, right? Clearing and steering, right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
They're talking about. Oh, they're not. That's right. They're not. They're somewhere else. Where are they again? Utah.
Idaho.
Idaho.
Yeah. Oh, damn. Idaho's popular.
Idaho. Yeah. Popular for crime. I don't know.
The eyewitness is you. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, how are you guys holding up? I know a lot of people are praying for you. They're concerned.
Friends and family, and
The
hoping to be
support
strong for
around
him.
us is what's, I know, keeping me together, because if we didn't have all of our family,
What is keeping us together, or what is keeping you guys together? I know it's keeping me together. See, there's no we here. See, there's love loss here. There's an issue here.
Yeah. There's a
Right?
separation.
There's
for sure.
resentment. There's all types of stuff going on.
Mhm.
Like the resentment is just flaring at you. I mean, it's
Right.
firing warning shots at you. I mean, the disgust. Yeah, something.
This case
like this-
reminds me of Summers. I don't, in a
that's
way.
pretty close.
Oh, the way,
Yeah.
the way she's looking
I
right now,
called my
she
mom
looks like
and
she's
she
mad.
was up there
Mhm.
Mm.
hours, and same with the rest of our family
Those
around us.
Luckily, I had a few phone calls is all it took at first. And we had, just as Sheriff Davis said in the news, there was 175 plus people up there in the grid searches, volunteers, professionals, and anybody I call this, the service up there is very there. It's camping, you know. We're trying to we have hope is the thing. Hope is what keeps it going.
That needs to be.
I think she's angry.
Yeah, I know social media can be a good thing, but it can also
That's
be a bad thing.
We just don't want anything twisted.
Yeah, we don't want to twist it. So clear up any rumors that you've seen or heard.
We've
One
one thing that
we
concerns
want to
me.
get to that. What's most of the biggest rumors that are going around is, I mean, I have heard everything from why you would make a rumor that has to do with a 3-year-old is, if you're not going to help, please don't. If it's not helpful,
Yeah,
this is a almost 3-year-old we're talking about. Please help us. But I've heard everything from I am a truck driver. I've heard everything from my company. It won't let me come home off the road to look for my son. I was there the entire time, and my employer, 4 hours after my son went missing, has been up there day and night, has not slowed down. And that one bothered me, and then they got worse and they got worse and they got worse. But that's a handful of bad with a bunch of good. The amount of support is very overwhelming, and it's good.
All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, and just really one or maybe two things here. The emphatic way he says, "Please help us." That is not something I expect from somebody who's the perpetrator of a crime. He
Maybe
again,
if you cover it up.
grabs. He's really
It is if you cover it up, right? You're gonna want to say please. You're gonna want to sound normal. You don't want your family to suspect you, so you're going to be as normal as possible. I would totally expect him to be more normal than someone who murdered a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't want to. They don't want themselves to look different. They want to basically right now. They wish that they were in the position they were before they lost him, so no one views them the way that they view him right now. Like it's just a big picture. That's my opinion.
really trying to control all this spurious thought that's going on when it isn't helpful, and how clearly he says, please help us. And also, just one last thing on this, how supportive he is of the supporters. Again, that's not something I would expect from somebody who's a perpetrator of the crime. They want to find some way to undercut the supporters and get them sent away, sent home. Don't bother. Don't put your energy here. Put your energy somewhere else. He's there going, look, my boss, my employer has been brilliant. You know, not only has he made sure that I've got time to look after to go find my kid. He's there. He's with me right now. He's come down as well. He's in there on it. And not something I would expect to see from somebody who's involved in some criminality. Scott, what do you got on this one?
All right. When a child goes missing, one of the first things that the armchair detective at home is going to think goes to is the parents did it, because that's mainly what you see on YouTube. You see these videos again. I'll say it where there's.
It's mainly what you see in most of the cases, unless they're abducted.
Well, that's why they're on YouTube,
Right.
is because they need it. They need attention, right?
That's what they're on YouTube doing.
That's
Yeah,
right. They're doing the same thing.
What the hell?
Well, I don't understand what he's trying to say with that statement.
Let's just finish this statement, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the 911 call. Is that your call that you sent me? Is that all this stuff from your page? Where did you get that from?
It's from me. Yeah.
It's from you. Okay, so I can use it.
Yeah. Totally.
All right, I'm gonna put it through my YouTube. You have a problem if I put it through my YouTube, and I'll just put the credits to you or whatever, or I can just put it in there and then
I can care less about credits. You do it whatever.
Well,
you
no.
need to do with
Well, I
it.
want to know people to know it's not from me.
Yeah.
I didn't create. Yeah. So, but I
Yeah,
want to know
no.
that it's just yours and nobody else has it, right?
It's mine and nobody else has it. No.
Yeah.
So where we do, where we know the people did it, and it's obvious. That's the most popular thing to talk about. That's what everybody wants to talk about. Look at these people who did this horrible thing. That's one of the reasons a lot of people are going to go to the guilt side on this. I think we need, again, I keep saying we need to be careful with this, because we're not seeing any of the same cues and signs that let us know, that indicate or suggest that these people have done anything. We're not seeing, like Chase was saying earlier, we're not seeing that sadness, that fake sadness come up and, oh, look at me, it's horrible, and bringing things back to themselves. And I've just been doing not a whole lot of eye going on in there when it talks about, they're not talking about the pain they're feeling or that kind of thing. But most often when we see people who are aware of what's happened to their child, they sure focus on that a lot. Going back to that one we talked about earlier, and pretty much all the missing children we've seen so far, when they're guilty for that, that's quite often what we see. So we don't see that. No, look at me, oh poor me, I'm having such a hard time. So you'll be empathetic with them and feel for them. We're not seeing any of that. This guy doesn't care about that. Could not possibly care less. He's like, I got to find my son. We got to find.
Do they go like camping to break up?
I'm trying to figure out how they would. I mean, she was going to go camping regardless, is what the story is, and he's really just kind of tagging along. Vernal is, because that's his baby and woman, and he did not want to go.
Why did he even go? Why did he go? They couldn't trust.
I don't know. He had other plans at his dad's house to cut wood for him and stuff that weekend, and so, it's a wild mess. It is, and there are some things that are just not going to be known, except for
he probably thought she was going to meet another dude out there.
Maybe.
That's what I was just thinking. If maybe it's a trust issue. He didn't trust her to go where she said she was going. Maybe he didn't believe that this camping thing was actually legit. Maybe he thought that was an excuse for her to go do something else behind his back.
Well, it depends on when Vernal actually found out that Bob was going to go and bring this other guy, Isaac, because if that's the case, he doesn't want her being there alone with the baby, because then she can give the baby to Bob and then be with this dude, wherever she wants to be.
Yeah.
If that's the case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, it's really weird.
This is a mess.
Yeah. There's some things we'll never know.
I'm going to intertwine the 911 call, because I want us to hear that and then go back to this. I want to hear that 911 call and then go back to this, and I'm going to have to upload it out of the phone. And we've been going over a little over an hour and a half, so the attention span of people is usually about that. Would you like to come on tomorrow night and we'll finish the part 2 and we'll do all the rest of the half of this and the phone 911 call?
Yeah.
Start about 7:30 tomorrow night.
Sounds good.
I'll do a show early in the morning again, like I did today. for Summer Wells, and we'll go into Crime and Justices in between. So make sure you subscribe to both of us, Crime and Justice. Callie, do you have a YouTube? You want to
Justice for Baby Dior.
You have a YouTube or anything, or do you want to talk about do you have the Facebook, your Facebook stuff, or?
Just go to justiceforbabydior.com. You'll see all the YouTubes, TikToks, everything you need, updates, just everything's in there. The whole case is in there. The cool thing about the website that I created is it's only full of facts. And I left it that way on purpose. That way I am not biased. And sure, I come in there with like the guilty thing, but I leave it to the page to be full of facts for others to make up their own mind.
Okay. Okay, go to Justice for Baby for I put it. Is that correct? The one I put up there?
Let's see. Hold on. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, please go check this out. You get some more information. I'll upload the 911 call. It's about 18 minutes long, so it's lengthy. I want to hear that because before I'm not going to listen to it all myself. I'm gonna give you my first go tomorrow night in Crime and Justice as well because for what I think I know of the case, I'd like to really see if it feels the way it should feel. The 911 call it might not feel right to me, but who do they use in here? Is it just his or hers?
It's hers. His hasn't been released yet.
Oh.
It's for prosecutional reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad I asked. Okay. This is I'm interested. All right. Let me get into this. We'll go ahead and we'll listen to it, and tomorrow and we'll reconvene here around 7 p.m. Pacific time. We'll go a little earlier just in case we have to go a little longer, and we'll get the day started earlier. We had some unfortunate stuff right before the show, so it's about 10 p.m. here Pacific time. So yeah, we'll start tomorrow at 7 p.m. Callie, it's good for you. You're in tell your husband we said hello. And Crime and Justice, thank you as always for being here. Bob Spinner says no thanks. Thanks, Bob. Morgan, thanks for you be here early tomorrow, and you don't have to watch us in 5 times the speed.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you won't feel it stoned. Yeah.
Exactly. You won't have to be watching in hyperspeed. It'll be okay.
It'll be good. And then Winston won't have to cross his legs because he's like, I gotta go.
Oh no.
So again, thank you guys for being here. Callie, thanks for taking the time out of your day. Thank you both for rage quitting.
Thank you for all of you.
Quitters. You can say thank you to the world, Callie.
Thank you literally for all the people who are Team Dior, whether you're a parent, supporter or not. Dior is a special guy, and I appreciate that you are catching up on his case.
That's no problem. I'm glad you want to take the time to do this and reach back out to do this because, again, we get so busy and we always have no problem going back to where we need to go when it's time, right? It's more than time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think so too. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Crime and Justice, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Callie, say hello to the family and stay away from late night bars and all that stuff.
Totally.
Right. Okay, good.
Will
See you
do.
guys.